We are joined now from Iowa, from Bettendorf, Iowa, by Republican presidential candidate Governor Ron DeSantis. Governor DeSantis, good morning, and thank you for joining us. So let me ask you, your closing argument now to those voters, those Republicans who plan to go tomorrow night and to caucus for Donald Trump. What is your closing argument to them to say, come vote for me instead?
Well, Donald Trump's running for his issues. I'm running for your issues and your family's issues, and solely to turn this country around. I've delivered on 100% of my promises. Donald Trump obviously didn't build the wall, didn't drain the swamp, and didn't reduce the debt. I've also taken on and beaten the Democrats and the left. And in reality, Donald Trump, as president, oftentimes got beat by the Democrats at the border. He got beat on debt. And so we have an opportunity to have a two-term president, someone that's going to be able to win decisively and then actually bring all this stuff into fruition. And I'm the guy to do it.
You say Donald Trump is running for his issues. What do you mean by that? What are Donald Trump's issues?
Well, he's focused a lot on things that concern him. Obviously, the distractions of everything that's going along with all these legal issues has been a huge thing for him. You're going to have criminal trials. You're going to have a lot of focus on things like January 6th by the media. And I think that ends up focusing the election on things that are going to be advantageous for Democrats, because you're not going to be talking about the border. You're not going to be talking about the economy. You're going to be talking about all these things to make the election a referendum on Donald Trump. And I think when Republicans have had those elections, whether it's 2018, 2020, 21, 22, the Democrats have benefited from that. Whereas if I'm the nominee, we'll be solely focused on the issues that matter to the American people. I'll be able to hold Biden or whoever their nominee is accountable. And I think it'll be a crisp opportunity for a crisp victory for Republicans. And so we have an opportunity to make that choice starting in Iowa and then through this process. But the notion that somehow all this stuff that's swirling around him is going to be a positive in a general election, that's just not true.
You know, it's extraordinary. Our poll shows that a vast majority of Republican voters say that they believe that Donald Trump has the best chance of winning in November against Biden, against the Democrats. You obviously outperformed in 2022 in your reelection. Trump, Republicans, other than some exceptions like you, have vastly underperformed since 2016. Why are Republican voters why are they wrong in saying that Donald Trump has the best chance of beating Biden?
Well, I think it's a couple things. I mean, I think, one, our voters understandably see Biden as a very feeble, weak, and poor president. And so I think some of it is they think anyone can beat him. You know, my argument on that is that would have been a case in 2022 in the midterms. We probably never had circumstances more favorable for the party. Biden was unpopular. Inflation was hot. The border was a disaster. Crime, all these issues. We should have been able to, any Republican with a pulse should have been able to win. And yet the Democrats made it a referendum on Trump and his adjacent candidates. And there's just certain swing voters that just aren't going to go there at that point. And I think that's been the case over and over again. But I think when people just look at Biden as Republicans, they're like, well, obviously, this is not a strong candidate. And then I think there's been an effort to talk about national polling a year in advance or even more, showing that Trump is winning. Now, I do think there's starting to come poll showing the opposite, that Biden wins these swing states. But I would imagine as the year goes on, and should Trump be the nominee, all those polls, I think, are going to show Biden with a lead over Trump. And so I think it's been somewhat of a mirage, but people see that, and I think that does register with them.
So you think Trump is likely to lose to Biden in a head-to-head matchup?
Well, look, one of the reasons I'm running, John, is because after the midterms of 2022, we saw very clearly the pathway forward for the party was like what we did in Florida, what Governor Reynolds, who's endorsed me here in Iowa, what she did winning big. Governors and Republicans that had their own brand and focused on results performed extraordinarily well. The other Republicans who were more aligned with Trump and his issues, they underperformed. That's just the reality. So my fear is doing 2024 with a rematch would have a lot of the same dynamics that we had in 2020, only Donald Trump won't be an incumbent. I mean, the advantages of incumbency are incredible, and yet we are where we are. So I think I have the best path forward for the party to both unite the party, because you got to have somebody that can energize the base. And I think that Trump obviously has done that in the past. I've done that in Florida. I can do it nationally. Haley cannot do that. I mean, she is not getting support from conservatives. She's relying on Democrat-leaning independents for her support in the primary, and that's just not the way you can win and galvanize support from the party faithful.
So back to Iowa. You've obviously spent a lot of time in Iowa, 99 counties. You've put a major effort in. You've been asked many times over the last several months a very direct question about how you'll do in Iowa. I want to play some of your responses.
Iowa, we have the best ground game by far right now.
And you expect to win
in terms
in
of guns. We're going to win in Iowa.
We're going to win Iowa.
Governor, do you expect to win the Iowa caucuses with Governor? I think so. Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to win the caucus. We're doing everything that we need to do it.
We're going to win Iowa.
So, simple question: are you going to win Iowa?
But you know what? Since then, I've learned that it's good to be an underdog. When folks want to count you out, when they want to say, oh, you know this, when they want to cite these polls. I mean, I think our supporters here, and I think Iowans generally, I think they roll their eyes at some of these polls, because how you can poll a caucus, much less one in -22. So our voters are ready. They're going to turn out. We've built this great organization. We've got great enthusiasm on the ground. Yes, I visited all 99 counties. So that's what you need to be able to do well. So we're going to do well, but I'd rather have people count us out. I'd rather have people lower expectations for us. I tend to perform better like that. I think our voters that we've lined up, and we have tens of thousands that have committed to caucus for us. I've got thousands of people that have come in just to volunteer in Iowa, people that are just paying their own plane ticket from Washington State and Texas so that they can trudge through snow in the middle of a blizzard and knock on doors and ask Iowans to support me in the caucus. So we're really excited about what we put together here. Our voters have an opportunity to have their vote count in a really meaningful way, because there was 186,000 people that came last time, 2016, to participate. A lot of people thought it was going to be less anyways, but now with this weather, it could be significantly less. So any one of our voters who are out there bringing friends and family, man, that's going to pack a punch. So we're going to do well, but I like the fact that they're viewing me as an underdog. I think that's better.
So let me ask you, in the debate in Iowa, you were asked a very direct question of whether you believe Donald Trump has the character to be president. I didn't hear you give a direct answer, so let me try again. Do you believe, I'm not talking about his fitness to serve in terms of his health, his age, any of that. Do you believe he has the character, the moral character, to be president of the United States again?
Well, I think I did answer it, and I just didn't answer it in the way the media wants me to.
Well,
for me, leadership is not about yourself. It's not about showmanship or any of that. It's about producing results. So when you make promises, do you deliver? And if you break the promises, then that's not good leadership. So he ran in 2016. You covered that campaign. He said he was going to build the wall and have Mexico pay for it. Drain the swamp, hold Hillary accountable, eliminate the debt. None of that stuff came to fruition. And so the way I view it is simply, I make promises to people, and I am fully intent on following through with it. And I'm going to be willing to sacrifice whatever's in my own personal political interest to be able to deliver on those big promises. And so he didn't deliver on those key promises the first time. So the question is, even if he could get elected, you know, he's close to 80 years old. He'd be a lame duck president. He's got a lot of issues surrounding him personally that he's very concerned about. Is he going to be able to deliver on all those things? And so for me, it's just, at the end of the day, it's about results. You got to deliver on what you promised.
One of your supporters, one of the 5 House members who have supported you, endorsed your campaign, had this to say about why so many others have lined up behind Donald Trump. This is Thomas Massie, Congressman Thomas Massie. He said, I would say a good number of people who have endorsed Trump in Congress have done it because they genuinely want him to be president and prefer him. But a majority of them are scared of their own constituents, not necessarily scared of Trump, but that he would rile up their constituents and that they might lose a primary. Is that what's going on? Because we are now seeing this stampede of elected Republican officials endorsing Donald Trump.
Well, you'll have to ask them. I mean, I can tell you this. I mean, I do know elected officials who encourage me to run and say they're going to vote for me in a primary, but yet have endorsed Donald Trump. That's just the reality of the situation. But here's the thing, what I would tell elected Republicans, when you stand up and you're delivering on conservative issues, Donald Trump's not going to be able to say you're bad if you've delivered on those issues. The voters are going to look at what you've done. I think Trump can be effective in a primary for people who are not delivering on conservative issues and who are going more wobbly or more left on things. But then that's always been the case, that people can be exposed in these primaries. So we're doing it. I've got guys like Chip Roy. I've got guys like Tom. I mean, these guys are out there. They're fighting the good fight. They've got a lot of incoming. But what we can't have as a party is that our movement is detached from the underlying principles and issues that we're trying to advocate on behalf of the American people. And I think Trump is trying to make it to where someone that kisses the ring, even if they're not faithful to the core conservative values, somehow they're a member in good standing just by doing that. Whereas a Chip Roy, who's fighting on all these conservative issues that all the Republican base has always wanted to do, but the fact that he's endorsed me and hasn't kissed the ring, and somehow he's bad or he's somehow a rhino, that is what you don't want. You want it to be rooted in a larger principle and not an individual. And also, you got to hold people accountable. I mean, me as the nominee should be held accountable. Donald Trump, anybody. So we're doing it, I think, the right way. The people that are attracted to us, they like what I've done in Florida, but I'm really just the vessel for the values that they believe in.
All right, Governor Ron DeSantis, thank you for joining us this morning.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.